Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the post-show live chat with Bachelor Fan Take, where we're going to be talking about hometowns and everything that went down in episode 7 of The Bachelorette. How's everyone doing tonight? It's me, Bachelor Fan Take, and we have got a jam-packed episode to talk about. Fantasy suites, beyond fantasy suites, sleuthing to go through, a whole lot of stuff to talk about. Welcome, thank you for joining me, but before we get into the chatting, of course, we got to go over the rules for the evening. Number 1, please, no posting spoilers in the chat. I know we're at the end game here, but we're going to keep it spoiler-free, except for, of course, anything that's been sleuthed out, anything from the previews, anything from an official account, the Bachelorette page, the Bachelor page on Twitter or Instagram, or from a contestant, or anything like that. Number 2, going to try to respond to as many comments as I can in the chat. Of course, super chats will get priority. And last but not least, please be kind to each other. Don't break any policies. Don't give us any reason to ban you. Yeah, that's about it. All right, so hometowns, and they were able to fit in 6 of the 7 hometowns. Poor Avon didn't get his. It looks like they're gonna start off the Men Tell All next week with some footage. Avon's hometown with Rachel, and I think we're at it. We've got Tyler gone, and Gabby's only got 3 guys left, so that's it. You know, no more rose ceremony. So they're gonna axe the rose ceremony, I'm guessing, for next week. 3 guys each, fantasy suites, moving on, and we will get to that preview. They've been really good about releasing the preview on the YouTube page, the Bachelor Nation YouTube page. So we'll likely be getting into some live sleuthing for that as well. But yeah, am I turning into an Eric stan? Me too. That's one of the big things I wanted to talk about this episode. Eric and his hometown date, really strong. For a bit, we've been vacillating. We've got here Gabby's final 3 guys, Johnny, Jason, and Eric. And I've always been a Team Jason guy. We saw a real swamp in this episode. More push for Eric and a pullback from Jason a little bit. It's hard to tell if that's, the same thing they sort of did with Tino this episode, where Tino got the really rough date. Are things going to work between the two? Not sure. Are things going to work with Jason and him being ready to get engaged or not this episode? And then Eric having such a strong hometown. And I gotta say, I was really rooting for Eric after this. And I think we've got some new potential narrative and context when it comes to this Eric stuff. And we saw it in the preview. And maybe we'll go over it once we get into that live sleuthing. And Kaleidosaurus, thank you for the super chat. Really, really appreciate it. Good to see you. I'm always conflicted with sorry, you got bumped out of the way for a second there. I'm always conflicted with meetings like with Tino's fam, because they raise valid points, but I'll also maybe just lean into it for the day. I 100% agree. If I was on the show, this is the way I think about it. If I was on the show with a child of mine, unless there was some extreme red flags coming out of the lead, whoever was the lead at the time, and I don't think we were seeing extreme red flags from Rachel. Like she was trying to do her thing. I think Tino's obviously a front runner, if not one of 2 guys at this point that she's seriously considering being the final pick. She was trying to do all the, standard meet the family, like say wonderful things about Tino and all of that. Unless there were some red flags there, I would play along. I would be supportive. Obviously, this is a decision my son and or daughter has made to be on the show and to put themselves out there, and they're on national TV too. I wouldn't want to embarrass them. I want to show support for them. And if there is anything that I am like extremely concerned about, I would tell them that in private. So that's my sort of perspective on it. I don't like with Peter's season, for example, with Barb and the whole stuff where she was at the men tell all, saying like Peter and Madison are never going to work out. We all say that and everything. I don't care what the reality was. Obviously, the Peter and Madison relationship at the end there was very manufactured and producer pushed and everything like that. And they might have known all sorts of behind-the-scenes stuff. They might have, and it might have been true, all of this stuff. I would never say that on live television or whatever, any television, and, kind of humiliate myself and my child in that way. That's my take on it. I think, obviously, it's very valid to feel conflicted about, this show and what we know about the show and how quick it goes and how much it can feel like a fantasy, and then come crashing down when you get into reality and the real, things you have to work through with an engagement in the real world, moving to, together, jobs, where are you going to be, all that sort of stuff. Despite all of that, I would be much more like the other every other parent this episode, I think. Even though it's valid to feel those things. And to see you, good to see you as well. Really appreciate the super chat. I liked how Tyler was so mature in handling the breakup with Rachel. Yes, Tyler had a very good episode. I think he will be a hot commodity for Bachelor in Paradise. I understand that Tino's parents are skeptical with the whole process, but I felt so uncomfortable watching them grill Rachel. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Tyler, we saw Tyler's breakup here with Rachel pulling another Jordan and sending him home off of a vibe, whatever. And Tyler was really the odd man out already in Rachel's group of these 4 guys making it to hometowns. And I was wondering, did Tyler even get a one-on-one up to this point? This was like his first one-on-one hometowns. I mean, I know he got extra time after one of those, like on the cruise ship. He got a rose with some bonus time, so it was kind of like a one-on-one, but not really, which I guess is something they had to cut down on top of all the other things they've had to cut down this season, because they've had no time. They've had more men, twice the amount of bachelorettes and all that. It's caused some sacrifices in the editing department on what makes it to the final cut, the final airing of the episode. No, there was no chance Tyler was going to make it further than Zach, Tino, or Avon, who'd already had so much more time. So I wasn't too surprised, but he really came off well here. And so cruel to have him walk in with his family, all the cameras there, after his mom was like, I bet he's gonna walk in so smiley, he's gonna be in love and everything. That was brutal. Good at the end of the day, good for Tyler. I'm sure he'll get a one-way ticket to paradise. You'd have to think, right? They know what they're doing. They know how that one's going to come off, and he'll do well there. I got to imagine. Beatriz, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. If I would have been treated like Tino's dad treated Rachel, I would have already run for the hills. You just don't marry him, you also marry his family. She will pick him all right, but they won't last. Yeah, she definitely is really into Tino, especially the end there, like the way it kind of came together after that disaster. I think it's not going to be the end of their relationship, all of this. Obviously, that's something they're going to be talking about because she talks about it in the previews, but we know they've got a long way still to go. We've got the whole stuff with Avon still to come from the Fantasy Suite debacle here. What do I have here? I've got it here. All of this stuff from the preview with her saying you changed your mind or something like that. Then we've got this stuff with Zach. We saw a little bit more in this preview, this stuff here with Zach after Fantasy Suites, it seems to be. So I think what we're seeing here is unless there's going to be a real turnaround with Zach, I think we're seeing the classic Bachelor storyline of the final pick getting, at this point already, the troubling narrative that's going to build over the next couple of episodes up till the finale on, is this going to ruin their relationship? Because we need a spoiler, otherwise it would be so obvious that Tino's going to be the pick. And so I'm feeling really confident in Tino. My original pick of Jason is less so, and I think I'll talk about it more once we get into the preview, which will hopefully be up in good time, because I think we're seeing some shifts in the editing a bit, and maybe getting a little more explanation that's reasonable for what's going on here. Something we've seen in the previews, where why is it so weird with Gabby and Eric? So. But definitely, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're Rachel, I think if you're Rachel, you're going like, what do I do here? Maybe, I think maybe I can win them over. And true, if I was in Rachel's position and I felt really strongly about one person and about the other two, maybe stuff we don't see on camera, I would stick it out, I think, with that family. And if it continues to be a problem, then talk to my future partner, and if they are not showing that they're on they're working through this relationship with me, then you run for the hills. But I guess that's that's me. And Shannon, thank you for the big super chat. Really, really appreciate it. It's tough with Tyler because my sister is close with the ex he talked about, and he wasn't exactly truthful to Rachel about. We're getting some tea here. All right, okay. He wasn't exactly truthful to Rachel about that breakup, but that scene was so brutal at the same time. That said, it was all very Wildwood, yeah, all in New Jersey. That's some interesting tea, and I think, I mean, I'm not terribly surprised. At the end of the day, you're only getting, one side of every story, and usually there's a little bit of shades of gray mixed in everywhere. Still, at the end, still doesn't change the fact that Tyler's going to do well after that. He's in the good books, I think, of Bachelor Nation now, and unless you got some major negative tea coming out, then I think, and even then sometimes it doesn't matter. We see with contestants making it to paradise, despite the horrible things they've said or done. At the end of the day, whatever's going to get the views for the show is those people are going to show up. And I'd be at this point, I'd be pretty surprised if Tyler didn't. Sometimes they have the final three, even if they're really popular, not show up till Paradise to the year after. Like, did we see any of? We didn't see guys like Justin.
You have no one to put on blast.
Or
No.
This guy show up in Paradise despite a popularity from Katie season. We often don't see that. Final three. Final four seems to be the cutoff. So I would definitely think that Tyler would be showing up in Paradise. And Ryan McCarville, thank you so much for the super chat as well. If love is strong enough, who cares what the family thinks? I don't know. Maybe I was off camera, but Tino's family didn't ask her a single question about herself. Seemed not super supportive. Agreed. Yeah, I think I agree on all fronts there. I just don't think that if you're ultimately, if you're speaking out of concern for your son, and you just want to make sure he doesn't get hurt, and the process is real, and the person that's showing up is real, this is not the way you would go about doing things. You would speak honestly and openly with your child and sharing your concerns, but at the end of the day, there is a possibility that this person is going to get engaged with your son. At the end of the day, this is someone who might be showing up to family dinners. This is someone who might be marrying your child. You are going to have to be delivering speeches at this wedding. This might be someone who will be the mother of your grandchildren, potentially. Even if you have reservations, even if you have red flags here, that is a possibility. So you just have to be somewhat careful navigating this. And you just can't. You just can't. This is you're planting seeds that you don't want to see harvested, because it could be a really hurtful thing for your family going forward. And it's on TV. It's on national TV. So your laundry is getting aired in front of the whole nation and more. So also want to pause. I was trying to. Someone has fallen asleep to this conversation. The doggo cam has been set up, and I don't know if you can see him. There's Bob. He's now officially turned away from the conversation. I was hoping to get some Bob cam with an actual front view, but he's turned away. Don't know if we'll get back to it. And Beatriz, thank you again for the super chat. Another super chat. Rachel pulled another Hannah Brown, choosing the bad boy. I felt so horrible for Tyler. He is a sweetheart. Choose the one that loves you the most. Yeah, I do feel bad for Tyler, and the whole everything that happened there. My inclination is that he was never going to be the pick. She was going in already with him on the outs, even before that date. So at the end, I think it's better. Ultimately, this is better for Tyler than going further and getting heartbroken later, or getting pulled along. I think it was just never going to happen. And Tyler, and believe me, don't feel horrible for Tyler, because he got a great edit this episode, and he's going to be just fine. And probably end up with someone who's more interested in him than Rachel ended up being. It'll be good for him. And Maria, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Missed a lot of the episode. Loved Eric's hometown. Made me cry, especially with what everyone is saying at the end. Felt bad for Tyler. Such a sweetheart. How did Tino's go? What did the preview say? Yes, Tino's went horrible. Mom and Dad were really rough. I mean, probably by this point you've heard me talk about it all through this chat. Really, really rough for Rachel. At the end, though, Tino did say he was falling in love with Rachel. She said it as well back to him. He said, I should have told you this earlier. But so he's gonna still go far. But I think, and we'll go into the previews soon. Rather than talk about what we sort of saw quickly with the end of the preview there, we'll get into it once it shows up. It should be showing up in the next short little while. I think it's already up. Yes, I think it's already up. So we will definitely get to the preview. Let me see who's next. And Asia again. Thank you. Appreciate the super chat. I was screaming at the TV trying to tell Tyler to shut up. But when he said that he was in love with Rachel, I was like, yeah. And we even got the classic, look to the camera from Rachel, which is going to be a disaster. Bob has graced us with a position change. Still. Oh, there he goes. He's going back to bed. Yeah, that was really awkward to watch. But you could just, especially with the editing beforehand, when you knew they were about to break up, and and then he says the full-on "I love you," not just the "I'm falling in love with you" that a lot of guys say. It's pretty. I think it's pretty rare to hear the "I love you" at this point. The standard Bachelor tradition is that hometowns, pre-hometowns, is where you get the "I'm falling in love with you." That, with the goal of you're sharing your feelings in order to make it to a hometown or to make it to a fantasy suite. You're laying it out on the line here, and then at fantasy suites is the first time you hear the "I love yous." That's usually the standard, I think. But we saw Tyler pulling out the full-on "I love you," which was awkward with the breakup to follow. And Cameron, thank you for the super chat. Just a fun question. If offered, would you become a producer for The Bachelor? Why or why not? Also, they put the preview out right at 9 on YouTube. Yes, they've been doing that this season. In the past, it used to be at 10 or 11 or at the end of the live stream, they would put it out. They've been putting it out right away, which is great. Love it. Would I become a producer for The Bachelor? Absolutely. Infiltrate from the inside. It would be contingent on me being able to continue the channel and tell everyone everything that happens. Otherwise, I'd be too afraid to be locked up in contracts. It's the same reason why I wouldn't go on the show if I was ever offered. You're so contractually obligated to say, not say things, not talk about certain things and all that. It's too much. But if they would let me, infiltrate from the inside, see how things go, maybe be like a romance producer or something like that. Try to push the romance as much as they push the drama sometimes. We don't need to lose the drama. We're not going to lose the drama. But we can up the romance aspect of the show sometimes, especially in the latest seasons. Try to cultivate it so it doesn't crumble so often. And if I could also tell everybody how everything works, that would be real helpful. It'd be really helpful with the preview breakdowns too, because I would be there and I would know how it ends. So I'd get everything perfect. So if I could do that, it would be great. And VNet, thank you for the super chat. So what was the deal with the misuse of Patrick Warburton? I mean, there was no intro, no point. He could have been anybody. Well, I mean, he was there. I think he's Zach's family member. He might have wanted to be there. Certainly, production wanted him to be there as well. It's a little whoa, celebrity cameo. So it was a win-win for everybody. I'm guessing. Just throw him in there. Get people whoa, who's that? Excited, maybe excited to watch the show. Hook people in, some people to watch the show. Be good for a few memes too. But yeah, no, he just sort of said hello, and there was a little extra at the end of the episode with him. So that's the deal. That's the deal, I guess, with him. Nothing much else. But yes, we've got a big preview we're going to get to in just a second. We've got the hometowns now done. Whatever happened to this? Also, not Nate. This one here. This is they must have cut this, probably for time, because they had no time this episode. This firefighter hometown date. Is that going to happen? That's not going to happen in Mexico with Zach. In Orange City, Mexico. Is there an Orange City, Mexico? Maybe we'll look at that. But that was likely cut. They had to cut a lot of stuff. And AJ, thank you for the super chat. Another fun cue. What's your dream job? Go all out. Really great question. I don't know. It would be. I'd love to. I really like doing this a lot. I guess I don't know, maybe doing more of this, but for other TV shows and things like that. Being a part of TV, something probably like that would be a dream job. or or helping people in some way. If I could do all of the like detective work without the trauma of being a police officer and seeing all the things that detectives and police officers had to do and helping people that way, maybe that would be my dream job. Something like that. That TV or Bachelor previews, that kind of mix all in there would be it. But yeah, let's end. Was there anything more? Oh yes, one more thing I want to talk about in case anyone missed it from the preview breakdown. We also have the Logan missing footage figured out. You can see the whole part where Jesse was talking about Logan, the whole COVID thing and everything like that, and he said, "Pack your bags. I feel really sorry." It was actually from episode 5 in Bruges, and Jesse saying "pack your bags" had to do with him switching over to Team Gabby from Team Rachel. Pack your bags. You're going to the other group of guys. And they even in the episode had footage of him packing his bags. But all right, we're now past the halfway point. Let's get into some live sleuthing for this preview. We got a bit of a slightly extended preview going on here with a bit of the Men Tell All, where they actually showed some footage of the Men Tell All. They don't always do that. They sometimes show like just footage from the season, drama from the season, in a little vignette of footage saying this is they're going to be really getting down to all the drama, and this show footage of when people had drama in the actual season. We get actual footage, and then of course there's fantasy suite footage to get to, a little bit of Avon hometown as well. So let's put on the big old headphones and take a look at this thing. It's up on YouTube already here, and see what we can figure out right off the cuff. I think we'll see some shifts in a few edits and a little more on how things play out. So let's get into this.
Next week on The Bachelorette.
I gotta tell you about my famous love spell. I could do it for you if you like.
Rachel visits Avon's hometown, where they feel the magic.
Is that bad luck?
And
yes, bad luck. So Avon's hometown was skipped this last episode. Poor Avon wondering where his footage is going to be. But we know the bad luck will continue. There is something going on here with Avon and Rachel after Fantasy Suites, where, obviously they're not going to end up together. So whatever this is going on in this preview seems to be an omen of what's to come. So maybe it all started here. But let's continue on. This is going to be just, I guess, a small part of this Men Tell All. They do this sometimes where they, intertwine footage. I think in Katie's season we saw, I don't take my word 100% on this, but we saw the breakup, the Michael A. breakup, I think, intertwined with Men Tell All footage. But sometimes they do this. They do this also a lot with the finale, and the after the final rose, where they have like a live audience watching the finale, and then they'll bring out the person who gets eliminated and all that. So, but yes, here's the Men Tell All.
Troy promises to be a dramatic and shocking Men Tell All. All of your.
And what is this? Here, let's go back here. What is this? Excuse me. Hello. Hello? Who is this man? Hello? Who is that? Is that actually that is the greatest magic trick I've ever seen in my life. If that's actually Roby, is that really Roby? I guess. All right, y'all. Oh my gosh. Who is this? Oh no. Okay, apparently that's Roby, and he's made his dark hair disappear. Oh wow. Okay, no, yeah, okay. It's Roby, I guess. It's Roby. Roby is... Why not, Roby? Do your thing. Change your hair. Do whatever you want. He's a magician. Yeah, there are only 14 guys. Yeah, they're not always the full cast of men. Obviously, this is a very, smaller, much more truncated group than what we normally see. Sometimes it's because they're just not invited. Sometimes it's people can't show up. But I think once you get to a certain point, you got to be contractually obligated to show up. Nate is there. Wonder if Nate's gonna talk about his the controversy that came out in the last few weeks. Yeah, no Hayden. I'm not surprised. That's someone who is definitely a no-show. He decided not to show up. Hayden is definitely chickening out. He's not showing up. And I mean, we'll see. I don't think it's going to be like a Thomas situation. Thomas wasn't at Katie's tell-all, but he videoed in, or he satellite footaged in. So he did show up and answer questions and stuff like that. It's not going to be like that with Hayden. The twins aren't there. Twins aren't there either. Only one of the night one elimination trio showed up. Yeah, and that could be for whatever reason. The twins, the twins have no reason to not show up. Hayden has a reason not to show up. So, yeah, Jordan, this Jordan is there. I think this is the other Jordan. I've forgotten the early names already. But, yeah, only a few guys there. Obviously, Nate, Tyler, probably going to get hot seat segments. I wonder if Logan will be talking about stuff. And we've seen some of the things that'll happen with, guys like Meatball. But
men tell all of your favorite men from this season are back.
You had your chance. Have some respect for the guys that were there.
And they're ready to talk.
This is another classic preview line or Mentello line. Have some respect for the guys who are actually there. So obviously someone from the group of guys who were eliminated early is talking trash, trying to get their Bachelor in Paradise spot. That's usually what this means. Trying to, get in there, get some heat going, and get some TV time, get on Bachelor in Paradise. But that sounds like Ethan's clapping back to someone who was eliminated early, calling them, I don't know, baby back bitch or something like that.
Guys that were there.
And they're ready to talk smack.
You did me wrong.
All of that is
I guess I like girls that are rough around the edges.
Yeah,
I
talking
love
about
Gabby.
Ethan there, obviously. So.
Meatball, our savior.
If you think you know what happens, guess again. This news is about to change your lives forever. Get ready.
So there's some news. Everyone has champagne. So I don't know if this is the end of the tell-all. I'm guessing. Some news. I don't know. I don't know. Do you think we'll get the Logan drama talked about at the tell-all? I hope so, but I'm not confident. I think they've left it at the COVID story, and they're not going to touch it. Why would they contradict anything? I mean, maybe we'll see it, but at the end of the day, even if Logan, so say for example, it is the stuff we've speculated before, where it was more about Logan's mental health, him leaving, than actually getting COVID. Even if Logan decided to talk about that, remember this is taped beforehand, they can edit that all out. So even if Logan does want to talk about it more, they can choose not to include that. So, Bachelor announcement could be it. I'm not entirely convinced that this is anything game changing for some, I've just been let down too many times. It would be pretty crazy to have a Bachelor announcement here already, with so much still to come. I would be concerned if it was a Bachelor announcement this early. Unless they have something wild, like Tyler Cameron or someone else already locked in for the Bachelor, which I don't think it would be, then it's too early. There are guys that they could set up to be the Bachelor based off of the finale. Set runner-ups or something like that. Life-changing news. Gabby and Rachel picked each other. And spoiler for the rest of the season. All right, I'm into it. I don't know. I don't trust it. I don't trust it being something actually life-changing or something like hot tea or anything like that. I don't know. Could, we're finally going to put forward the senior Bachelor show. Something like that. I mean, who knows what it could be. So we'll wait with anticipation.
To new adventures.
Yeah, this is the end of the episode, so it's some announcement that's going to happen at the end of the episode.
In 2 weeks,
And Benito.
Gabby and Rachel
In
take
Mexico.
their journey for love to Mexico.
I am in love, and I've never been this happy.
So, yeah, we've got fantasy suite dates, or potentially final 2 dates. We don't know 100% with these footage, this shots. They could be showing dates that are final 2 date, most likely final 3 though, at this point. One-on-ones, Johnny with Gabby here, Eric and Gabby, Rachel and Zach, Rachel and Tino.
I've never been
But
this happy.
there's some fantasy
This
suite drama
is
to
the
come.
moment during Clayton season where everything went haywire. Everything went off the wall.
Foreshadowing. Is it fully ending in Mexico? Yeah, all of it. It will be in Mexico. They do that pretty much always now, where once it gets to fantasy suites, just one location. I can't remember. I'm sure in seasons past they've done new destinations for the final 2 finale, as opposed to what they did in the final 3 for fantasy suites and so on. But pretty much at this point, they've always kept it the same for the final location, and that is what they're going to be doing here.
The last
Mexico.
thing your dad said to me was they don't like me. I'm scared to move
Talking
forward
about-
because of what happened at Hometowns.
After Fantasy Suite, everything took like a 180. That was the last thing I could have ever expected.
So it's really strange here. So we see this this shot with Zach and Jesse Palmer, something we saw from the original preview where he was saying, I need to tell her this truth. Jesse says something like, where do we go from here, or whatever. And normally when we have some audio, we'll see it here again, where you don't see them speaking, we can't trust it. But I don't know, to me, with the headphones on and everything, it sounds like it's from the same place. Even though it might be spliced together, it does sound like it's the same. There's the white noise or whatever, the background noise is the same.
After Fantasy Suite, everything took like a 180. That was the last thing I could have ever expected.
But, I guess we'll see. But after Fantasy Suites, something unexpected happens. It's like, ooh, Zach. And think of this whole Zach ending situation as the opposite of Tino. So Tino has the animosity first, and makes you wonder, if you're coming into the season having never watched the show before, makes you think, ooh, they're in trouble, which brings up the tension for the finale. Whereas Zach has the very easy time, the very sweet storyline, in contrast with Tino, so that when this happens, it's more shocking and, again, raises the tension for a season near the end. This looks like it happens after their fantasy suite date. We don't know when. This could be right after. This could be, the day after. This could be during the final 2 situation. So, at the end of the day, you can't say for sure one way or the other if Zach or Tino, if this means that one is for sure the winner. But I am more and more and more leaning towards Tino being the guy now with these edits. This could be something that doesn't matter. This could be something that doesn't lead to his elimination, or doesn't lead to a breakup, or doesn't lead to a self-elimination, or whatever. But I think, I don't know, I'm feeling that the edits are working towards this high-tension moment where Tino ends up being the pick. So, and certainly it has to either be Tino or Zach, because we've had the whole stuff with Avon after the fantasy suite, which we talked about in the mid-season preview breakdown. So certainly it's one or the other. It's Tino or Zach at this point, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm feeling much more stronger about Tino at this point than I am with Zach. I guess we'll see, but that's my inclination. Even though they have this whole stuff with Tino, like, obviously they're going to talk about the family. That's going to be a concern for Rachel. If they're potentially getting engaged, of course they're going to talk about this, horrible hometown date that Rachel had. It would be crazy not to. If they're like at this point going, we're going to get engaged, potentially, like, we're talking about it, we need to bring up the family stuff. It would be a red flag, bad idea if they just ignored it. But I don't know. I at this point, the way I'm kind of thinking about it from recent seasons is not terribly unlike what we saw with Michelle and Nate. Not talking about, how things ended up with the two, but just their time on the show, the way things were sort of edited together. Obviously, different people, different relationship, but the way the show talks about it in order to raise the tension and raise the stakes and make an interesting ending to the season where you're not sure what's going on is similar, where there were a lot of doubts about Nate, even though he was the one who was probably the front runner at that point. I think he was. I think Michelle was a little more into him, even though a lot of people really liked Brendan, and he was very obviously emotionally invested and everything like that. Nothing against him, but I don't know. My mind is jumping to that comparison. So could you say the same thing about Jason? We saw a little bit of, not sure if he's gonna get engaged or not this episode. I think I'm not in the same way as Tino, but again, I think they leave Jason really out of this preview as well, with some small exceptions. But okay, let's continue on. I think we're gonna get more into the Eric stuff.
That was the last thing I expected.
I'm picturing a girl that I'm in love with doing that with somebody else, crushes me.
He said he can't love me.
So this is, to me, we see another contrasting thing where I'm really starting to wonder if this Eric stuff is a red herring, because they have two completely different moments. We know that this moment here with Gabby, she's got a bun in her hair, and maybe they're thinking, we go here, another bun haircut. But we know that Gabby is wearing this in this situation, the green outfit. We know it's not the same moment here, and this is a very standard sort of kind of jealousy, storyline where feelings are getting high, and it's hard to imagine the person that you want to potentially get engaged to being with another person. very standard storyline. It's maybe not as nefarious as some of the other preview shots make this part out to be. A goodbye. And this is. Let's look back at this again. What did he say here? The last thing.
I could have ever expected.
I'm picturing the girl that I'm in love with doing that with somebody else.
We don't necessarily know if this is about fantasy suites either. This could be about a proposal, an engagement. So doing that with somebody else could be fantasy suites, but we have to entertain the possibility that this is also just simply a goodbye after the final 2 date. Just because, we don't usually see a fantasy suite end at the end of the night. We usually see it end the morning after, right? That they have their breakfast and then they, say goodbye or whatever. So, that it could be disaster that they don't, Eric decides not to have a fantasy suite. I'm not sure about that. I'm thinking, because, what are the final, is the final 2 option for Gabby going to be, Jason and Johnny? No, Johnny is the one who's for sure going to be going home. It's going to be between Eric and Jason, in my opinion. Here, I just think final 2 possibility. Maybe he's a virgin. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just starting to feel more like we've talked about this before. This red, these weird shots with Eric, and they go ahead and juxtapose it with this. They've done that a few times with Eric in these previews already, more than once for sure, where they have this chat.
Somebody else crushes me.
He said he can't love me. It's am I too broken for anyone to love?
So, but is that with Eric? There's not necessarily. Again, different outfits here with Gabby, and these shots. And so when production does this with the previews, I get my guard up and I go, is this actually what's happening here? The alternative though is, who, if she's not talking about Eric here, who is she talking about? And is it Johnny? Could be Johnny. Very well could be Johnny. And that's something that ends the relationship. Is it Jason? And here is where I'm starting to wonder, they're planting the seeds for the finale already. We've seen that with Tina. They're planting the seeds of doubt, with Rachel. Did they do the same thing with Jason this episode? Where Jason talked about, he not being sure if he was ready for an engagement. So I'm starting to have some doubts about the Jason stuff. Again, very weird that he's not really present in this preview. So often that's a good thing, but it's kind of weird at this point. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much into this. But after this episode, and maybe I'm talking out of because this was such a strong episode for Eric, and now I'm really rooting for him. I just felt they had a great date, and this is the first time that I felt a strong connection on TV, at least. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but on TV with Eric and Gabby. And so maybe that's persuading me as well. But I've got some red flags, some things going on in my brain here where I'm a lot less certain about Jason. Well, I don't know if I was certain before, but less certain, I guess, is what I'll say, than I was before. I don't know. So, but let's finish this off.
Gabby will not be joining you. You're going to be the only Bachelorette here.
I'm struggling because I want this to work, so it's hard when I've given it nothing but the best.
So, interesting ending here. This fantasy suite stuff, this moment here. We've already sleuthed out that this seems to be with Avon. This ending here, but the Gabby,
The only Bachelorette here.
Gabby not showing up business is very interesting. I don't think this is a finale thing, unless it's something like Jesse saying, okay, Rachel, by the way, we're going to have your final rose ceremony, but Gabby's not going to be here this time, which would be very misleading if they did something like that. Don't think it's like that, though. I think it's more dramatic, and they want to, amp it up, which could be one. They decide to have, so this is the next rose ceremony they're supposed to have in Mexico, and maybe they're doing it separately. Maybe there's a legitimate reason that's not to do with the rose ceremony, like the show, but there's a possibility that at this point Gabby only has one man left. Oh. Hey buddy, someone's having a dream. He didn't like that. He didn't like that possibility. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe at this point only Jason is left, or only Eric's left. Maybe this whole stuff with her where she's saying, too broken to love or something like that is with a breakup. Oh. Someone else showed up. I know we're getting deep into stuff, but it's a rare occurrence to have both the dogs interested in the live stream. Oh. Jackson's gotten interested. So there's the dynamic duo, everybody. Say hi to Jackson. He wants to hear. Okay. So yes, this Gabby leaving thing. I mean, obviously there's a possibility that we just don't know. We just can't know for sure what's happening here. There's a million explanations, but we're going to explore some, and definitely in the preview breakdown we're going to talk in more detail about this stuff. But yeah, it could be as simple as there's just no one left for Gabby. So this rose ceremony is just Rachel. It's also possible, again, getting a little less extreme because, it's nice to jump into the theories that are wild. But when you think about it here, we've got the final three guys for Gabby. And in the previews, we saw some footage there. Like, there's Johnny on this date. We saw her talking about not wanting a boy, wanting a man or something. The possibility that there was some breakup there was planted in the preview. But we don't know for sure. But it was planted there. So let's say, just for argument's sake, that on Gabby's fantasy suite date with Johnny, she decides to break up with him. There, she's got her final two. Rachel doesn't. She has her final three guys. So she goes to the final three rose ceremony, with three guys intact. Gabby already has her two. So Jesse Palmer says, you're the only one who's going to be here. Because Gabby's already decided, she's already got her two. So this rose ceremony is solo. That's another possibility. But, we do know that there's this whole, Avon stuff, fantasy suite stuff, plus the Zach thing that's going on after fantasy suites. So is that what's going on? I don't know. Because it seems like something happens with Rachel as well. So we're gonna explore these options in the preview breakdown. And Kaleidosaurus, thank you for the super chat. How bright it is in that shot doesn't seem like a final three rose ceremony though. I feel like they normally do those at night. I think that's a very good point as well. It's not been. It's a good point. It's not been entirely the case. I am thinking back to I remember Peter Weber's final 3 rose ceremony, something at some tropical location, or it might have been final 4, whatever. I just remember there was something with like, is Hannah Ann gonna show up or whatever in the final 3 rose ceremony. And Victoria F was there as well. It was Maddie, Victoria F, and Hannah Ann. And that was done in daylight. So it's not entirely, but it is typical that they do rose ceremonies at night, but it's not entirely, at least once we get into this final 3 area here. I don't know, maybe it's because they're often in these like beautiful locations and they want to show off the location, and they don't have the time constraints of like, doing a rose ceremony and a cocktail party, and that has to be, so they have to fit that in at night. They've got 3 separate days for each of their their fantasy suites, so they can do the rose ceremony whenever they like, not worry about it. And film it at a good time. So it is possible, but it is also possible that this is a final 3 rose ceremony. In Australia for Peter. G'day, Sheila's. And that was like the first time they had them all stacked in like one room together to awkwardly look at each other. Is Ethan a candidate for Bachelor in Paradise? I would think so. And they're showing him here that he's got like a little segment. Where was it here? In the previews, he's getting a little screen time here. I think they know he's a fairly popular guy amongst the community of watchers. So I think he's got a very good chance for Bachelor in Paradise. Johnny and Ethan in Bachelor in Paradise. Yeah, I mean, I will say it's not typical. They like to save the final 3 guys, but it's also weird. We have like normally it's just 3 guys in the final 3 and not 6. So maybe there's room for Johnny and who like even potentially, any of these guys really for that. But it's going to be it's so much of this season with like the new rules and everything is just up in the air, completely up in the air. So I like to often talk about precedent, what they normally do, but it's hard to talk about that in a season where everything is completely strange. And Ryan McCarville, thank you for the super chat. I like Gabby. I hope she wins. I hope she wins in love as well. Obviously she was very, very great this episode, especially in Eric's hometown. With the nurse stuff was really nice. But all right, we have come down to the end of the hour, which means the stream is going to be ending. Thank you all for joining me for this live sleuthing. Be sure to keep your eyes open for the the extended preview breakdown that's going to be coming out in 2 days. Tomorrow, the recap, where things can change. All of the reaction to this stuff is just sort of off the cuff, off my memory. You never know when one go back reviewing the other previews, reviewing some of the screenshots and everything like that. Like what shot might change the whole narrative. We might find something here that means, oh no, Eric's done. We'll spot them together, with Gabby in this outfit. Something like that could possibly happen. So things can change, narratives can change. We're going to go into way more detail on that. So make sure to keep your eyes peeled for that video, and of course again the recap tomorrow. Also got to take in this monumental moment that rarely ever happens. Usually one of these dogs is not interested in the live stream at all, But I guess, I don't know, they watched the preview, they were really interested in this time, and the double dogs, the double dogs sweetly sleeping here, you know, and and I gotta get my sleep as well. So thanks for watching, thanks for chatting, thanks to Think Story for modding, and thanks to those who super chatted, those who commented, and those who are just lurking. Thank you for coming out. I'll see you all next week for another live stream, and of course the videos to come. And until next time, Bachelor Fan Take out.